Welcome to the Rockhound podcast. Karen here from Ozone Adventures. We have a very special podcast here for you tonight. Instead of just having one guest, we have three of our favorites. We've made a highlight reel. We start by going around the world to visit Jesse from Rookie Rockhounding and chat with him about how he got his name. Next, we go out of this world with Dr. Caitlin Ahrens of NASA to hear about the geology on the Moon and Mars. Then we come back to Earth and hang out with WildKyle and hear about some of his adventures and see if he'll play us a song. Before we do all that, we'd like to invite you to be part of the podcast too. We have a show and tell segment that you can send in your favorite find or a picture and some information about your favorite find, and we'll put it up on the show and tell of one of our future podcasts. Just send that picture and some information to rockhoundpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll have you on the show as well in a way. So without further ado, let's go and visit with Jesse with Rookie Rockhounding.
Hello, I'm Jesse from Rookie Rockhounding from Australia.
How did you come up with the name Rookie Rockhounding?
Oh, so I I was doing my first video, and I think my YouTube name was something from like a long time ago, which was just a name I made so I could comment and stuff. I think it was J Dizzle. Which is terrible. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Time to get you a shirt.
Yeah, Jay Dizzle. And I was doing the video, and I was like, I need a better name. Like, this is, if I'm going to start doing videos, and it was my second video, and I'm like, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, I'm a rookie. Like, I'd been doing it for, I think at that time, 7 years, but on and off and not knowing what I'm doing. I didn't even know what rhyolite was or chalcedony was. So I was like, well, I'll call myself Rookie Rockhounding because it has a cool ring to it as well. And then I was like, but then after a year, I'm like, oh no, I'm not a rookie. And I'm like, but everything was going well. And people were like, oh, you're going to need to change your name from Rookie Rockhounding. And I thought about it. But I think I always want to be a rookie, and I always want to have that feeling that we all had when we are rookies at something, where we're learning, but we're also super excited and super curious, and it's sort of serendipitously that is my brain. Like, I am a rookie at everything, and I always want to be learning, so I want to be a forever rookie.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Oh. You always get so excited, but you're finding the same thing. And I'm like, when I'm out rockhounding, I'm in kid mode, like absolute kid mode. And I can find a rock that is 10 times worse than my best rock. And it depends on that day. If that's the best rock I found that day so far, I'm like cheering, like it's the best thing ever. And it's genuine joy sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
And you worry.
Across.
Yeah. You worry. You don't want people to think you're banging that on. It's a genuine nerdness.
Yeah. Every single time I'm watching your videos, I'm always like, I always catch myself smiling or laughing. Like,
oh, that's cool, man.
You bring so much joy into your videos. It's just it's awesome.
No, thank you very much, man. Humbling. I don't do good with compliments. I'm like,
well, hunker down, because
here we go.
Hunker down. Here we go.
Here we go.
It's like, what's your favorite video or the best video that you feel like you've made, so that viewers can kind of go to like, okay, well, Jesse recommends this one of his, or, is it the last one that you made is always a favorite? What do you think?
I have, and I genuinely have a favorite video of mine, and there's a little reason, there's a bit of story behind it, is because, so it's the, I think it's called Only a Rockhound Knows the Feeling or something like that. I'll have to find out what it is, but it's Benny and I just went, all right, pot shot rockhounding. We knew the area had agates and stuff like that in it. We did this massive bushwalk. We're traipsing through all these different areas and no rocks at all. And we're like, all right, well, let's go down to the creek and we'll just make our way back to the car. And this is like for 4 hours. And then we started finding rocks just as we realized that it's going to take us another 2 to 3 hours to get down this creek because the boulders are massive and stuff like that. But then through that, looking up was amazing because as a rockhound, you don't look up very often, sort of thing, because it's you're looking down.
Truth.
Yeah, it's the type of video where there was every aspect of rockhounding in it, even like the, getting skunked at the first bit, walking for ages, not finding anything, finding beautiful things, and then realizing time's running out and we've got to get back and not break a leg on these massive boulders. So, yeah, only a rockhound knows the feeling, I think, is what I've named it. There's that. I always want to be a rookie at something in the videos.
Nice.
But I'm not a rookie at Kellison anymore.
No. It seemed as though you were perhaps a rookie. Like, let me just give you props for your makers challenge.
That was awesome.
Scotch rocks were amazing.
That was awesome.
But
That was well done.
perhaps a rookie at drinking the scotch. No?
Absolutely. I knew what it was going to be, and I'm like, I'll just get Benny a drink and I'll film him doing it. And then I was like, no, I better do it. Ugh. I can't. I couldn't. But then someone else like, no, you've got to get this type or this type. I'm like, no, I like beer. I'll just stick with beer if I'm having a drink or something like that. But yeah, rookie I had to leave the natural reaction in there, and that was genuinely natural reaction, and it carried on a little bit longer.
I could tell it was a natural reaction.
So hysterical. But actually, as far as the I loved that challenge because you took on cubes. Yeah, the cubes are hard to do, even if you've got like the perfect equipment to be able to calibrate cubes. And you were doing it on an angle grinder and the saw. I was like in complete awe.
Yeah, I had before, because a lot of the times when I do polishing and stuff like that, cutting and polishing, I like to make flatter sides. It makes it easier first with the grinder. But it does show up where things are a bit off and stuff like that. So I'm like, I've got to figure out how to do this. So it was a nice practice for me to do that. And I hadn't done it until I started filming. That's why I was like, oh gosh, I don't know how this is going to work.
Talk about flying without a net, man. That is so awesome.
It's honestly the way I do it. And it's not because I'm like, yeah, this would be cool. It's because I'm unorganized. Not organized at all. So yeah,
It still
that was a great
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I learned a few things just watching your video, so thank you for
dude. Oh, cool, man. That's cool. It ended up being more of just an entertaining video. I was like, okay, I don't know if I can teach anyone anything out of this, but just more of being a part of that. That was such an amazing thing Theo put together, because it pushed every creator just that bit out of their comfort zone.
Yep.
And then, and like you saw with what happened with Agate, like he's losing his footage and stuff like that. It broke my heart for him. I was like, dude, but he nailed it. And then just everyone, like, I don't want to mention any names because I don't want to leave anyone out.
Right.
Every one of those channels did brilliantly. And I'd never seen a pizza made out of rocks before, it looked good. It looked good. But yeah, it just, and it also got other people's minds going into, what else could I make, sort of thing, and my mind. So I've got something I want to make, but it's probably going to take years to make. So.
Can you divulge? Intrigued. Yeah, I know. Can you let a little of the cat out of the bag?
I put a little Easter egg in the in my Makers Challenge video, but I don't. It'll only be an Easter egg once you know what I'm making.
But I have a question for you, Jesse.
Yeah.
Whenever you've gone out rock hounding, have you ever run into any animals? And if so, what animals have you run into?
Oh, that's right. You're Australian. You got some. Heavy hitters there.
And saying that as well, I'm like, oh, we've got snakes and stuff like that. But there's like cougars and mountain lions and bears and stuff like that, like big old scary animals. But I mean, for people in America and Canada and other parts of the world. But the main thing we look out for is snakes. So snakes are in wintertime, you can feel yourself physically less stressed when you're out rock hounding because the snakes are away sleeping. Well, hopefully. But then when summertime comes, it's snake time, and it's like you have to stomp your feet because the snakes feel the vibrations and they will hopefully not want to encounter you. But for the most part, we've run into a massive python, which was huge.
Ooh.
And not lethal or anything, but scary. It was probably about the size of two and a half lengths of me, sort of thing. Yeah, and then, but then there's other rad ones as well, like seeing a kangaroo just standing there on the edge of the creek, just going, and you're like, "Hey, buddy," and he's like, "No, go away." But, yeah. And then there's one more, which is the ones you don't see, the wild dogs. There's packs of wild dogs out here that stories I've heard are just intimidating and scary. Like they will hunt in a pack and they'll get one, just like the raptors in Jurassic Park. Like one will distract you going, "Hey, bud," and the other will just attack. I've not had it happen to me, but there was a video just recently where I was out by myself and I felt something else there. I could just hear it breathing.
I hate that feeling.
Yeah. And I was like, I kept recording because I'm like, I feel so alone and scared right now. At least I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to everyone else while I'm filming. I'm like, oh God, oh God. So that for the most part, it's snakes and cute furry animals.
So my question was, do you think there are any famous people that are into rock hounding and are secretly watching everyone's content? And if you had to guess, cool, who do you think would be into this hobby?
I mean, I guess you'd call him famous. Bobby Duke.
Oh yeah, that's
I see him go down to the creek to pick up rocks. I'm like, he knows there's rocks there. I'm like, I wonder if he sees that I'm a rock hound too, and it's like, hi. But I don't know. I'm like, I want to be Bobby Duke's friend. But that I don't know if he's secretly watching these videos and stuff like that, but I feel like he could be a rock hound.
I think he could too.
Hey, Bobby.
Friends.
Episode 100.
Monster Agates asked a super good question from our last stream in the comments, and that was, have you ever run into the law when you were rock hounding? And I'd love to pass this over to Jesse to start off with, but this is for everybody.
Yeah. So technically we haven't run into the law as in the police, but we have, and I'm laughing about it, but only now, but we have had a time where the laws in Australia I won't go too far into it, but it's Crown land is in the creeks where it's not national forest and stuff like that. And those creeks will run through farmland, but you're allowed to fossick in that creek bed up to the high water mark. So where the grass basically starts, you don't go up over there. You need a fossicking license and everything like that. So we had all that, and we went back to retrieve like this behemoth thunder egg. And Paulie, Benny, and we couldn't get the trolley to be in the creek, so we just wheeled it up on the grass and we flipped the rock up onto the grass. And the instant we did that was we just broke the law, and it didn't cross our minds, sort of thing, because you're not crossing a fence. There's still another fence just up, past the, further way up. But and then we heard this thing that we thought was a gunshot, and I'm like, oh, it's happening. Oh no, like this is it. We're going to be shot. I've heard about this. We're going to be shot for rocks, and then again, and I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, it's like echoing through the area. And I've got my back to where I'm thinking it's coming from. And the two boys' faces were like, oh no, it wasn't a gun. It was this lady and her husband. She had a whip and she was doing the crack. And I'm like,
wow.
oh gosh, okay.
That's even scarier.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. And the last thing I want to do is give rockhounds a bad name at all, like, or show doing the wrong thing to achieve a rock. No rock's worth it. But we had already got things strapped onto the trolley, and so we're like, these guys are screaming at us like, get the off our land and all this sort of stuff, and we're like, sorry. And they let us wheel it off. They didn't want to come talk to us, but I was freaked. I hate confrontation. So I was just shaky as and just worried they were going to chase us, and also felt horrible. It was, I felt horrible, but I ended up making a video using the footage. I didn't want to because it was embarrassing, but also I thought it's important. If I'm going to do it, then I'm guaranteeing other people are going to do it, and that could be useful information for them, sort of thing. So that was when we broke the law, and we shouldn't have, unintentionally, absolutely, like we didn't, yeah, bad. It shows throughout the rockhounding creators communities, everyone's good at something different.
Yep.
Or multiple things. Every channel I've seen, I've not seen a bad rockhounding channel. Even if it looks like it's filmed on a potato, it's still sharing what you're loving and you're doing. So yeah, for new channels, just put it up.
Mm-hmm.
Put it up, because you won't learn if you don't, and be proud of it. Whether it's, I can remember the first time my friend said to me, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm a YouTuber, joking. Like, he's like, oh, what? For your rocks? I'm like, yeah, for the rocks. Anyway, like, after my fourth video, the first video had just gotten like 24 views. And he's like, dude, you've got 24 views. And I was like, what? So I jumped on and I looked at him like, whoa. I personally make sure I remember that feeling, because and whenever one of my videos goes past 24 views, I'm like, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't, if you're starting out making videos, just do it. Don't, if you get one person to watch it, that's rad. If you're happy with it, that's rad. It'll just grow. It'll grow and grow and grow. And then you'll have some crazy video that you were like, yeah, it was all right. Go pop. And you're like, what? And then all of your other videos are going crazy. But the thing is the key to that is that there is an ebb and flow to YouTube. You will go like this. You'll have a point where it's just going like this. And you're like, dude, I've made it. This is good. Like, this is how it's going to be. Rad. Oof. And it drops. And you're like, wait, have I done something wrong? No, it's that bloody algorithm. It's just, you can't, do not base how good you are at what you do off of how many views you have, how many likes you have, how many subscribers you have. Base it off of what you see in that comment section.
Yeah.
Base it off of how you feel about your video.
Brilliant.
And yeah, that's where, so my biggest thing is the drops. The drops are very confusing because you think you're doing something wrong. And that can be detrimental to your channel, because then you might change what you're doing, when the reason why it went up in the first place is because you were doing something right, exactly being yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nah, that's a good way to put it.
I know from experience, man. I've had some really good luck. I've had some really, really good luck, and I've been almost vomiting, like dry reaching with anxiety when I'm about to release a video, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I did right. Is it going to be just as good as last week's video? Is it? Oh, and then you're like, I don't care about view count, whatever. How much is it now? Oh, how much is it now? Oh, how's it going? you know, it's real, and it can, you just don't want it to be all consuming over your time and take away from the joy of doing what it is. Not really. I just really want to pump you guys up and be like, this is brilliant. This is really, really cool as a guest, as well as, because when you're doing videos, you're editing, you know, you're yourself, but you don't, there's no back and forth, stuff like that. And it's in a safe place, you're with your peers, and it's just, everything about what you guys are doing is brilliant. And I really wish you all the massivest best of luck with it.
Thanks, Jesse. It was so good to have you on, and we can't wait to have you as a guest again. Let's go check out Caitlin and look at the planets.
Did anyone else hear that?
What?
Nope.
That was weird.
The cat noises?
I don't know what that was. That was weird. Anyways,
I have
It's NASA.
NASA's coming in and shutting this down.
NASA's like, we're here to talk about aliens. We have to shut this down right now. I'm sorry.
Just like, no more.
All right. Let's go get started here. Welcome to the Rockhound podcast. This week we have a guest from NASA. If you want to go ahead and take it away.
Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Caitlin Ahrens from NASA Goddard Space Flight Center and a postdoctoral researcher with the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and a bunch of other missions.
And of course, fan mail keeps on coming in for Kurt's hair.
Oh.
And that is international still from all over the world. Yeah.
It didn't change. I was going to do a monkey tail, but I'll do that next time.
Speaking of international, Caitlin, just a quick question for the space station. Do they get YouTube? Because that'd be super cool if someone tuned in from freaking space.
It really would, wouldn't it? I don't believe they have as much internet as you think that they might. They do have very limited streaming services. We did allow them to watch Game of Thrones when they were up there, and we allowed them to watch some of the Star Wars movies before they were premiered here on Earth. So they were actually able to watch those videos before the rest of us Earthlings.
Nice.
That is so cool.
Nice. That's cool.
Watching Star Wars in space. Before we go any further, Caitlin, did you have any special projects that you're working on this week?
This week I am having to jump back and forth between my lunar work and a little bit of Mars work that is getting wrapped up, and a little bit of Pluto. So just kind of hopping around the solar system this week. Oh, and Ceres. Yeah, I need to do some Ceres asteroid work this week too. Yeah, that's the thing on my to-do list. Add that to my itinerary across the solar system, and there we go.
Nice.
And then back down to Earth.
This is a normal week. Yeah, I'll eventually get back to Earth for dinner, you know.
That's awesome.
Need to eat at some point. This is a normal week for me. So, yeah.
What inspired you to get into this particular line of work and pursue this as a career?
I'm going to sound a little bit cliched here, where I got a telescope at a young age. You look through the telescope and go, "Ooh, space!" and I just immediately fell in love with that. But originally, I was a radio astronomer for a couple years during my undergraduate years, and I pursued an astrophysics degree, and I really enjoyed geology, and so I added a geology degree as well, and completely fell in love with my mineralogy class, and then really got into the structural geology and volcanism, a little bit of seismology work too. And so I landed a position at the USGS out in Arizona. There's an astrogeology facility out there in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
And my job then was to look at Mars Global Surveyor data to try to pick apart the data and figure out what kind of minerals can we see on the Martian surface. And from then on, it was like, yes, okay, I did not realize that this was a career at all at the time, but it's like, yep, okay, I'm in, I'm sold. Let's get right to this. And so got my degrees. I have a PhD in space and planetary science, and just kind of snowballed into just doing all sorts of stuff across the solar system. So my PhD was on Pluto, but my undergraduate years was Mars, and now I'm all over the place.
I was wondering if there has been any new recent discoveries as far as new minerals or rocks found on Mars.
Excellent question, and the answer is yes. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I was actually at a Mars conference. Lo and behold, yes, we do have planetary conferences across the world. And so this one was a Mars conference out at Caltech, and they brought us all into the auditorium, and like we have this announcement before public release, and you Martians are gonna hear the news. And we had discovered 2 new minerals on Mars. At the time, using try to compare it to rover data, but we actually found it in Martian meteorites, and never before seen on Earth. Completely different chemical compositions, and we still don't know how to even recreate it in the laboratory setting. So it's completely fascinating that we found 2 new minerals on another planet that just happened to land here on a meteorite.
So cool.
Crack it open, look through a microscope, and go, well, that's weird. So one is called tissantite, and the other one is called Ahrensite.
Yeah.
I have actually named stuff in space, though, so that has
nice.
actually been an achievement.
Totally counts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that counts.
it's on the list.
I have 5 things named in space so far, so we'll
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, naming things in space is much harder than people come to realize, though. But I have a dune field on Mars. Disclosure here is that they're completely there's rules to naming things in space, so I can't just name it after my cat or something like that. I can't name it after myself either. So there's rules. There's a 90-page PDF rule book that we have to abide by of naming things in space.
It's the government. You guys.
Actually, no, that's the fun part. There's a whole committee. There's an international committee specifically for the Planetary Nomenclature Committee. So they are completely an international entity for the purpose of making sure we can name things properly in space and not name them after your cat.
Or like some TM, product, like Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
This dune is sponsored by McDonald's.
this crater impact sponsored by Taco Bell. Look at that.
Yeah.
What's that over there? Oh, it's the Gnome Plateau. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'd probably get in trouble quite a bit.
The paperwork is awful, though. Just oh goodness, but it's been well worth it. I've named quite a bit of stuff on Pluto, including a very large glacier on Pluto too. So very excited about that.
That is so cool.
I would have named it Titanic.
A sinking glacier.
Oh, that's dark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, too soon.
Too soon. Theo,
but for all you nerds out there, the Pluto's moon Charon has a very dark pole, and we named it Mordor. So if there's any Lord of the Rings fans out there, there is now Mordor in space.
That makes me so happy. How is is gemology is like being one of my big interests is how is that comparable on Mars to Earth? Like, is there actually like gemstones as we know them on Mars, like agate, for example? I don't know if the geology would be right for agate to form, or if we would even know that, or like opals or something like that.
So I'm going to go with yes and no.
Okay.
So unfortunately, agates cannot form at Martian conditions.
Okay.
Agates, you would need a very specific pressure and water Mars did have water, but not the correct pressure conditions to do agate, unfortunately, though. But the exciting part that we have found is that there are not only opal on Mars, but there's actually opal fields on Mars. So there's actually very specific. Yes. And I even sent you a picture of one of the opal fields. So we actually call this one of the crowning jewels of Mars. This is Noctis labyrinthus. So this is near Dallas Marineris, that really big scar across Mars. That's actually where the most pretty gemstones would be to cave for on Mars. That's where most of what we thought may have had a really beautiful mixture of not only water, but also basalt and a lot of volcanic rocks as well. So you're not only having opal at the time when Mars had water, you could also have salt fields as well. There's gypsum fields on Mars. So those do some really cool, weird types of geology. I also sent you a picture of Ias Chasma. So it looks very squiggly looking, and that's actually all the gypsum and the salt interacting with the rock, and it makes all the really cool, pretty patterns.
That is so cool.
It's gorgeous. And another cool thing too is that olivine as well. There's a lot of olivine because of all the lava, all the volcanics that would have come out to it. Now, whether it's considered gem quality, maybe not, because it would be really quite tiny. But who knows? We haven't really dug deep, though. There may be bugs, for all we know, that of material. We just don't know yet. A rover can only do so much.
Right.
So, we keep building more, bigger, powerful, stronger rovers, though, but they can only take so much as far as rocks go. Once we start sending astronauts to Mars, you better send up a geologist, and they're going to pick out all the rocks.
Right. Exactly.
You got to send a Rockhound too. Like,
can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's doomed. Like the thing would never get back. It would be too heavy. Like,
oh, nonsense.
Just one more. It's like just one more.
That would certainly be the tragedy, right? Like, I want to keep all the rocks. Why can't I take this one home?
There are no leverites.
Right. Pretty much.
But another cool thing about Mars that we found out that there was water on Mars is what we have here on Earth are the Moki balls.
Yes.
Yeah, the iron concretions, we have them on Mars, all over the place. We actually call them Martian blueberries, which is another picture I had sent you earlier.
I love that.
So we call them blueberries because our spectrometers are very special cameras that hone in on the infrared wavelength of rocks. Because we can look at a rock and go, yep, it's brown rock, cool. But a spectrometer hones in on the infrared signatures of rocks, so they can look purple, they can look green, they can look pink, they can look yellow. Every mineral has its own different color combination, and hematite shows up very blue to the spectrometer, so we call them blueberries because they look like little blueberries on Mars. But
so cool.
You don't want to eat them.
If Jared was here, he'd be like, "Don't lick rocks, don't lick blueberries."
Totally. I'm drinking it with my tang.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, there's some gorgeous, just what we perceive to be olivine and pyroxenes. There's the potential to have labradorite, which is an interesting feldspar surprise. There's quite a bit of feldspar. Yeah, there's plagioclases, and we haven't officially confirmed that there's labradorite, but there's at least strong signatures of feldspars, and the conditions would actually be correct for labradorite. So by all means, if we can find a Martian labradorite, I'm sold.
I was just about to say that is absolutely in my top 3 favorite rocks category. So as soon as that gets confirmed, I might be changing professions at some point.
Join us.
So I'm going to need me some Martian labradorite yesterday.
Okay.
It is absolutely fascinating what the rovers
so cool.
do. So what I like to describe how the rovers do it, though, is that not only do they eat the rocks, it's the rover nose is in the stomach. So we ingest and sniff the rock at the same time. What we do, though, is that there's lasers in the belly of the rover, and it essentially like cooks the rock, and all the vapors that come off the rock then get sniffed. And sniffing the rock vapors tells us about the chemical composition. And there we're able to figure out like, oh, this is a sodium-based sulfate, or is there calcium involved? There could be calcite, gypsum, muscovite, or is it iron-based? And then is it magnesium-based? So is it pyroxene? Is it plagioclase and stuff like that? So it's a very interesting system. And then if it doesn't like the rock, then it'll just kind of go plop back to the surface. You know what? If you love sulfur so much, I would recommend to you the moon Io around Jupiter. It is a sulfuric moon and constantly erupting with very oozing volcanoes. You would love it.
So
Caitlin
cool.
is a travel agent as well.
Where would you like to go through this whole thing? Do you want beachside resorts? Go to Titan, the largest moon around Saturn. Do you like ski slopes? Go to Pluto.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, there is a probability of finding andesite. We do have a little bit of clues here and there that there is andesite. Probably not biotite, not that I'm aware of, not currently anyways. But muscovite, yes, there is definitely muscovite, gypsum, all of those really pretty minerals there. As far as silicas go, the other part about high silica content that now we're trying to figure out now is, could there be other types of quartz? So I don't mean amethyst, citrine, or anything like that, but high pressure, high temperature forms of quartz. So cristobalite and tridymite. We have found tridymite on Mars, supposedly, and but could we find like cristobalite? And that could give us a means of like, oh, the temperature and pressure would have been very extreme in this particular point in time to form this mineral at this location millions of years ago. And that those minerals would probably be around the volcanic areas. But
Like
we haven't.
snowflake opal kind of thing, right? Because
That would be
cristobalite makes a snowflake obsidian, so it would be like snowflake opal and whatnot. Maybe.
Oh, that would be cool.
Wouldn't
Probably. I don't see why not. That would be really cool.
I want some.
Yes,
Dibs.
that would
Sorry.
be so pretty. There's a specific type of meteorite called a palisite, which I actually do my.
She's got one.
I got one. I'll show you guys. I'm gonna try not to blind myself.
Should we
because it's
lead
really
into
pretty.
show and tell then, if you're certain?
Yeah.
Sure. So I'll just show it normally though, but this is a palisite.
Ooh.
So on this here now,
Um,
I'm actually pretty jealous because that is actually on my wish list for my for the rock room.
Getting chills.
Oh, fantastic! Yes. So most meteorites are given either a code number, depends upon their locality where they were found, or they're given a name. So this one is called Palosovka from a specific region in Russia. It was found in 1990. But it's a very interesting gem quality that I'm going to try not to blind myself with the flashlight here. I just realized I'm using my powerful flashlight here, so this is a mistake. But
Oh, no way.
That's
Oh.
beautiful.
That's cool.
Oh gosh.
That's amazing. I'm getting chills.
Now,
this is
I
just
know.
very fun.
That's so cool. So
Oh.
beautiful.
That is awesome.
Close encounters.
Well, what's cool is that you guys just saw olivine from the asteroid belt.
Oh.
So this
Oh.
particular beauty came from what we think might have been from the middle of the asteroid belt. So the inner, middle, and outer parts of the asteroid belt all have different fingerprints, is actually what we call them. Different fingerprints of iron and isotopes. And if anybody's asking, like, how can you tell if a meteorite came from like the moon or Mars or the asteroid belt, is because of that fingerprint. Yeah. So do you know what a tektite is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So I love tektites. So my favorites are from Mongolia. So this is actually a pretty big, nice glassy piece. It almost looks like a worry stone though, because it has a nice curve
Oh, nice.
to it though. So that's I keep that near my desk for space stuff. Otherwise, I honestly just have like a bunch of like, yay, we're going to Venus, yay. Pictures. I have a random picture of Pluto here as well. This little Dorito shaped glacier here is the glacier I got to name on Pluto.
Wow.
So awesome.
What did you name it?
I named it Barre Montes. So Montes meaning mountains in Latin, and Barre was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I love it.
So
that's
mountains
cool.
on Pluto have to be named after historical voyagers.
Nice.
So I figured, you know what? Pluto doesn't have a female name on it yet. We're gonna go with it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Talking about space toilets. All right. So congratulations to the current astronaut class. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, they have passed potty training because it's not just so much of how to use the toilet. We have a replica of the International Space Station toilet here on Earth for them to figure out how to use, but also how to really use it. There's a bunch of components to it. There's hoses, and then there's a control panel with it as well. So be sure to know which button does what. And then also how to fix it, because goodness gracious, if something were to break down in space, we're not rocketing up a plumber to you. You're going to have to figure out how to fix it. So, but they have, so we nickname it potty training for our astronauts. So good job to the current astronaut class. Good for them. But yes, that is currently probably the most expensive toilet in the whole universe, is going around several times over Earth right now. So it gets very entertaining to say the least, though. But you know what? Astronauts have to do some really weird training as well. So good on them.
You mentioned earlier actually something about what they were sending up to the International Space Station also. That was really neat.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, in just a couple weeks, we're going to be sending up water bears, the cute little tardigrades, and baby squid up to the International Space Station. So we want to see how tardigrades react in low gravity. They're going to do just fine. The baby squid, however, though, we want to see how well do they move, specifically with just their tentacles and everything in low gravity.
Yeah. This is international sign for baby squid.
Apparently. How would they move in low gravity? It's going to be actually one of the very it's not going to be the very first aquatic creature. We have sent up tiny fish before in space, but certainly on a different scale. We've never sent squid up before.
Caitlin, you want to go for yours?
Sure. Okay. My word of wisdom is that Pluto is still a planet.
Yes.
Boom.
Boom. There we go.
You heard it straight from NASA.
I was telling Kyle earlier, is Pluto plays by its own rules. So go be Pluto.
Oh, I like that.
That's so much better than mine.
Oh, wow. We need that shirt. That's a shirt.
Go be Pluto.
Be more like Pluto.
I was telling Kyle that's pretty much how the whole reclassification thing came about. Is the Mercury all the way out to Neptune kind of plays on the same soccer field, and Pluto comes in and decides to play water polo in the middle of the soccer field. It's just kind of like, what's up? I'm here. So what if I have a different orbit? What are you gonna do about it? So go be
Man,
Pluto.
I kind of like Pluto now.
Yes.
Yeah.
More Pluto people, yes.
But yeah, we appreciate being here on the podcast. We definitely would love to have you back. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure
More
you have
space stories, yay!
Yes. Anytime.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I was just gonna say it's been a real blast, like hearing all the stories and just all the information that you were telling us. Like I've learned so much tonight that I didn't even know like existed. So like, thank you very much.
Seriously.
You're welcome.
It was a far out experience.
Thank you so much, Caitlin, for being on the podcast. And we can't wait to have you back so that you can talk about those meteors and other fun things. And now let's go down to WildKyle and find out how MildKyle got his name.
Welcome to the Rockhound podcast. This week we have WildKyle. So, Kyle, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everybody, WildKyle here. Good to be here. I'm excited for this. This is gonna be a good time.
All right.
How about you, Kyle? Other Kyle? Did you
Normal Kyle?
Normal Kyle? How about you?
Me?
How was your week?
Or the more talented Kyle on the other side.
Wilder one, but the
We'll just say Wild Kyle and Tamed Kyle.
Mild Kyle.
There you go.
Wild Kyle, yes. I love that.
I like that too.
That seems pretty fitting. I'll just rename my whole channel.
What is the weirdest thing you found while rockhounding that wasn't a rock?
The weirdest thing that I've ever found, or that we've ever found, because I'm kind of speaking about a video that Chris and I did together now. It was really recently, actually, and we were in a creek looking for shark teeth, and we came across this little piece of paper, and it was like rolled up paper, and it was this little scroll thing, and it was wrapped up with a little like tweed little thing, and you could see it was all like fancy cursive writing on it and stuff, and it was in the water though in the creek, but it must not have been there long because it wasn't like completely disintegrated or anything, and we were like kind of torn on whether or not we even should open it and like see what it is, because it seemed possibly like something deeply personal. And we're like, okay, we're gonna open it anyways, and if we have to, we'll put it, whatever. And so we opened this little scroll thing, and it's like 4 or 5 sheets of paper, and it says the same thing over and over again on the front and the back of each page, like 60 times, something like that. And it said something like there was like a name. It was like Roberto something, and it said like, "You are with me forever. Thank you, God, for everything," and something about like union and like getting like something. I can't remember exactly what it said. It was in the video, but it sounded like this person was like talking about marriage, like being married to somebody or something like that. And it was just kind of strange. It was so weird. I don't know. We were kind of
weird.
We didn't like mess something up, but so a lot of people in the comments said that it was they thought it was like somebody trying to like manifest something. So hence the writing over and over again. So they thought maybe they were trying to manifest this person to marry them or whatever, something like that. They tossed it in the creek, and so normally we clean up trash that we find in the creek, but this one we're like, I guess we leave this. I don't want to like disrespect the person who threw it in the creek, so we just wrapped it back up and left it in there. But that was definitely the weirdest thing that I think we've ever found on a trip, because I can't think of anything else that's really that sticks out that much.
What is the most interesting animal that you've come across while out rock hounding or fossil collecting?
Let me think. We surprisingly don't have a whole lot of encounters really with wild animals and stuff like that, even though
that's good.
Thankfully,
yeah.
There's been a couple times like Chris and I were in a creek a while back, like maybe a year or two ago, and we heard all this like crazy shrieking and like squeals off in the distance.
Oh geez.
it was like, and we were like, whoa! And then we like looked up into the woods, and like we're down in the creek looking for fossils, and up in the woods there's like this pack of wild hogs, like so in Florida, wild boars, and they're pretty like they can be pretty aggressive and stuff like that. So like we could see them off in the distance. They were like fighting with each other. That's why they were like squealing so much and stuff. And they started coming towards where we were at, and we were like, oh no. So we like climbed up in a tree. There was like a tree falling down, and we like went up to the top of it, and the pigs like they went down into the creek, and they like crossed basically right where we were at, and like we watched them. They were just being like nasty the whole time, like squealing and stuff, being like hitting, like they would like tackle each other basically, and like it was kind of wild.
I'm glad there was. I'm glad there was a fallen tree there for you to climb into. That would have been scary.
But no, that was a pretty interesting experience, and but one similar one that's like sticks out to me too is me and Chris were diving, and Chris was trying to like get me to move because apparently there's something going on that I couldn't see, but I'm like looking in the spot, and I'm like in this gravel area looking around, and I'm like, oh, this is a good spot. And Chris is like, he's like this, because you can't talk underwater scuba diving. He's like trying to tell me to move, and I'm like, no, man, I'm in a good spot. He's like, no. He's like, you gotta move. You gotta. And I'm like, I'm staying right here. I like didn't want to move. I was like, why are you telling me to move? And he grabbed my arm and just like pulled me, and I was like, whoa. And then like after he pulled me and we got to a different spot, he went like this. And so there's a snake. After we got up out of the water, a snake was like right at my legs, like underwater with me.
Oh wow.
That was terrifying. I never even saw it. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's crazy. But yeah, so those are a couple of the animal experiences.
Where would you want to go rock hounding, and what would you be looking for?
Man, there's a few things I feel like. So one of the ones that like really quickly came to my mind was I believe it's the Jurassic Coast. Which
yes.
Goodbye.
I really, really want to find pyretized ammonites. Bad.
Dude, we're going.
We got to do that.
I want to come.
We're going, Kyle. You better let me know when you do that, because that's been on my bucket list forever.
Yeah, same.
I mean, if we get like a bunch of us Rockhounder and Fossil Hunter YouTubers together, we can just split costs. Let's go.
That would be awesome.
Right?
Like that's one of the things on the top of my list. Those things are ridiculously beautiful. Like I really want to find some of that stuff.
What's your favorite fossil to hunt for? What's your favorite fossil in general, and why for both of them?
And why for both of them? So my favorite, I guess, fossil, not necessarily a specific fossil, I would say is my favorite fossil to hunt for, but I prefer to look for Pleistocene, like mammal and reptile fossils. So that's the Ice Age of Florida, where you get the mammoth and mastodon, giant ground sloth, dire wolves, horses, and then you get like alligator stuff, snake, all that kind of stuff. That's my favorite type of fossil to find, is from the Pleistocene epoch. That stuff it's always been my favorite. I don't know. I just love all the teeth and the scoots and like all the just weird bones and stuff like that. That stuff's really exciting. What was the second half of your question?
What's your favorite fossil in general?
Favorite fossil in general. Oh, it's so hard. Oh,
I know.
Is it like a fossil that I have, like that I've found?
Just even one that you might want to do at some point in your life.
Like I'm not really sure. I think I love like the carnivore fossils from the Pleistocene. So that's like dire wolf or any type of cat, like jaguars and American lion and all this stuff we get here. And so like one of my favorite fossils that I have is a dire wolf tooth. That's the carnassial tooth. I'll have to send Kyle a picture of that so he can throw that in. But yeah, no, that's like I love carnivore fossils. Those are my definitely my favorite from that period at least, and from that being pretty much my favorite stuff to look for. I love those a whole lot. Anything carnivore that really makes your day when you go out looking and you find. Man, because so my friend Bobby, I was at his house for the live stream. He helped me out with it a lot because my internet wouldn't be able to stream it properly where I live because it's just not good enough. And so where Bobby's at, he also had like some nice stuff to use, like to like all this weird stuff to like plug the camera in and have the camera on me and like make it look nice and stuff. And then I had my mixer and stuff like that for when we were playing, when I played songs and stuff. So we had the audio, sounding nice and everything with a nice
Oh, it
mic.
sounded crisp.
It was.
It did.
good.
It was amazing.
If you haven't seen
amazing.
it, go check it out, people. Like if you're watching now, you can at the end of the podcast go check out Kyle's. How long is that going to be on for people to be able to watch that live stream? Are you going to pull it down at some point?
It's on the channel permanently.
Oh, good. Okay,
Well,
go check it out.
What we can do is we can link it down below in the description so that way people can find it easier.
Sweet, yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm not planning on taking it off the channel. It's going to stay up there. And what you're saying too about like more consistency with that stuff, I'm planning on doing one a month right now.
Nice.
And so
Can't
I
wait.
think we'll have the date for the next one planned. I'm going to make a post about it. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I have it on my calendar, but it'll be in June. I'm going to do another one and just probably do some similar stuff, like kind of just hang out and maybe answer some questions, and I'll sing some songs again and stuff.
Yes, please.
I'm going to make that a part of every live stream. Is I'm going to close it out with singing some songs and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, you got to.
You have to know that there's famous people that like rocks. Plain and simple. If you think that there's probably a famous person that's using like an incognito channel name to watch other people's content, who would you think would be watching your channel?
Oh, like for someone famous?
Yeah.
Oh man, let me think about that for a minute. Man, oh gosh.
Heavy hitting questions.
Hold on, let me think about that for a second.
Should I play the jaw harp while you're like?
Yeah. I'll help you think about it. Oh, so for my channel, I would like to, I would really like to think that Will Ferrell likes WildKyle.
Yes.
Dude, Will Ferrell would totally like WildKyle.
Totally.
I love Will
No
Ferrell.
doubt.
He's hilarious.
He's a funny dude.
Or even him, or even like Adam Sandler. If Adam Sandler liked WildKyle.
406 Findings asks, if you weren't a rock hounder or a fossil hunter, is there any other hobby that you would make into a YouTube channel? I thought that was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So, if it's like bikini modeling or what you guys do?
That was my last job.
Right on, Theo.
I've already
Way to
done
set the
that.
bar high on that.
So, does that mean, Theo, you have a calendar out?
I do. It's somewhere.
Is it going to be your giveaway for 10K?
Yes. Oh my gosh. we have to do that now.
Oh god.
That's a thing.
Oh jeez.
I'll join in on that. Let's go.
Yes.
This podcast took a weird turn.
We're going into the
Yes.
PG pay-per-view version.
Oh yeah, sorry. Family show, my bad.
Mhm.
I'm definitely going to be a bikini model in my other channel.
Okay, all right. Still with fossils, or
like two fossil shells, just like this.
Oh my gosh, dude. You made that joke like 4 videos in a row when I was getting those teeth ready for you, when I sent that box for you, and I totally was gonna send you make a clam bikini to send to you in that box. And I was like, no,
it's gonna happen.
It's
Yeah,
happening
I'm
now.
gonna
That's what
now.
happens
Well, we're
these
friends
days.
now,
I've been
so.
talking about it too much.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna get a
Yeah.
random box in the mail.
Yeah, you're just gonna get
Yeah.
a random box with a Shalkini in it.
Yep. Like some Miocene era pectins. Like,
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess like for real, for like another channel, like I would, and it might happen eventually. I would love to start a channel that's more like centered around my music.
yes, please.
And stuff like that. And what I would want to do is like something I've thought about, and like I said, I might do it eventually just as a second channel, but like I would like to kind of have one where it's like each video is a song, but it has more than just like the song. It's like, you know, you play the song or whatever, or get a nice recording of it or something, and explain like, so you go through the writing process of the song and what inspired the song and like, you know, why you wrote the song and all that, and talk about all that before you play the song, you know, and just give like insight onto the songwriting process and stuff like that. Because I think that can be helpful for other songwriters, and it's just interesting for, you know, people who are interested in music to listen to the reasons of a song, or like maybe what it meant to someone or something like that. So that's what I would do like for another channel if it wasn't rock hounding and fossil hunting. I'll do this one called "Holding On to What I Hoped For." It's kind of a love song, but
Yay. I like that one.
it's kind of sad.
Forgive me if I cry.
Well, I know I shouldn't let myself love you, 'cause I know that love takes more than a little while. But am I fooling myself one way or the other? It's hard to tell when I see you smile. And it's easy just to blame it on the timing. Oh, but darling, time ain't gonna hang around. So why can't we just let it be the way it is? 'Cause I ain't felt nothing like it for a while. Well, I've been holding on to what I hoped for, but I guess what I hoped for just ain't the truth. So don't you get too far ahead of yourself in your head, 'cause you'll end up just like me, not knowing what to do. We can have our fears and all our reasons, but none of that comes with you to the grave. So maybe I will just tell you the way I'm feeling, 'cause nobody's guaranteed another day. Well, I've been holding on to what I hoped for, but I guess what I hoped for just ain't the truth. So don't you get too far ahead of yourself in your head, 'cause you'll end up just like me, not knowing what to do. Well, I've been holding on to what I hoped for. But I guess what I hoped for just ain't the truth. So don't you get too far ahead of yourself in your head, 'cause you'll end up just like me, not knowing what to do. Baby.
Thanks for tuning into the podcast. It was a real blast to have a look back at some of the fun moments that we've had from previous episodes. And I want to remind you, go ahead and send in your pictures to rockhoundpodcast@gmail.com to be part of the show and tell with an explanation. And be sure to tune in next week to hear Theo say,
My name is Karen, and my channel is Ozone Fine Art Adventures.
My name is Glenn, and my channel is French Pottery Emporium.
until then, leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought of this podcast. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, rock on. We'll see you next week.